Good morning to those of you on live stream. Good morning to those of you here in the congregation. I'm Leona Evans, minister at Unity of San Luis Obispo, and this is a day of great celebration. Now, Unity of San Luis Obispo is an inclusive community working to affirm the good in all people and in all life everywhere. And so we give thanks for this opportunity to honor one of the most powerful souls to ever walk the earth. Today we are here to celebrate the 150th birthday of Mahatma Gandhi, leader of the Indian independence movement and pioneer in the philosophy of nonviolent protest. Gandhi has been the inspiration for nonviolent movements for civil rights and social change throughout the world. His legacy can never be underestimated. During his life, Gandhi remained committed to his beliefs regardless of the oppressive conditions and in the face of those situations that were seemingly insurmountable. Now, he was a very honest man, Gandhi. He never wanted to be worshipped. He was very clear in his autobiography and in other writings that he was a fragile human being. Not sinful, but fragile, as we all are. And we together could understand from Gandhi that we don't have to be flawless in order to be perfect. He had a perfect vision for nonviolence, a perfect vision for the equality of all people, a perfect vision for lifting people, awakening people, and bringing them to a place of human dignity where we all belong. This service today, I would like to dedicate to his beloved grandson and dear, dear friend of ours, Arun Gandhi. Arun Gandhi has been very near and dear to Unity of San Luis Obispo. He's made 2 appearances here over the years. He wrote the foreword generously and lovingly to Matthew's and my book, The Evolving Peacemaker, a commitment to nonviolence. And he, like his grandfather, has tirelessly worked throughout the years. Colleges, universities, any place that asks him, any country that invites him, he goes. He says he's a peace farmer. And as a peace farmer, he plants the seeds of nonviolence. Today, we're also honoring the International Day of Nonviolence, established in 2007 by the United Nations to be celebrated annually on Gandhi's birthday, which is October 2nd. And so today, we have Dr. Pamela Parmar, who is going to help us and lead us in the mantras that Gandhi loved so dearly. He was inclusive in his spirituality. Gandhi had held public prayer services every single day, and during those services he sang hymns and recited prayers from all the different religious traditions. However, his heart belonged to Hinduism. He was a Hindu by nature, and so today we want to honor some of the traditions that were very near and dear to his heart. And so Dr. Pamela Parmar will lead us in chanting the Om.
Om is an embracing sound of the universe, a single syllable that is the sound of harmony itself. And when we chant it, we awaken the peace, harmony, and love which already resides in us. We connect to our original self, to the essence of divine in us. The sound of Om is considered the first sound of the universe, the life breath of the Creator. I have heard that if one chants Om for 30 minutes, it produces nitric oxide in the body, which raises body vibrations. These are the practices yogis do to attain nirvana and moksha, which means transcendence. Om starts with the sound A, followed by O, and ends with A, O, Let us now chant Om 3 times, followed by Shanti, 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 followed by a moment of silence. Take a deep breath.
To honor Gandhi's 150th birthday, India's Department of the Interior created a 5-minute video featuring Gandhi's favorite bhajan, or hymn, sung by people from 124 countries around the world. This song is in Old Gujarati, but here is the English translation. One who is devoted to Vishnu knows the pain of others, does good without pride entering his mind, tolerates and praises the whole world, does not speak ill of others, keeps his promises, actions, and thoughts pure, rejects greed and avarice, renounces anger, respects women, speaks no lies, is not controlled by worldly attachments. These words and these ideas were closest to Gandhi's heart, and this is the video representing people honoring him from all over the world.
वैष्णव जन तो तेरे कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे पर दुखी उपकार करे तुए मन अभिमान नाने रे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे
सकल लोक मान सहने वंदे सकल लोक मान सहने वंदे निंदा करे के नीरे
निंदा न करेगे नीरे वाच काच मन निश्चल राखे धन धन जननी दे नीरे
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे
दुखे उपकारे करे गोये manhabiman ane re
सकळ लोकमा सहुणे वंदे
निंदा न करे के नीरे जीवा थकिय सत्य न बोले भर धन नव ज्वले हाथ रे
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे वैष्णव जन तो
तेने कहिए जे महामाया व्यापी नहीं जेने दृढ़ वैराग्य जेनो मन मारे
रामानमाशु तामिलागी सकला तीरता तेरा तारा मारे
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीर पराई जाने रे
पर दुःख उपकार करतो ये मानविमान नाने रे
वनलोपिनी kapaterakice ce kamakrora nivarare
भाणे न रसयोटेनु दर्शन करता खुड़ाई को तेरे थार्या रे
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे
It is so inspiring to be able to connect with people around the world that share these sentiments of love and goodwill and respect and equality for all people. We need to hold on to these times. We need to remember what can be and what already is happening around the world. There are many more of us whose great love is the recognition of the oneness of all life and of all people everywhere. And so I would like to talk about Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence, Satyagraha. Satyagraha is an ancient word that Gandhi chose because he couldn't find a word in English that really captured all of what his movement of nonviolence was about. And so Satyagraha is actually translated as soul force. It's a relentless search for truth and a determination to teach truth through nonviolent means. Satyagraha embodies the ideas of conflict resolution through nonviolent action, respect, and ethical behavior. Satyagraha is a philosophy of living that embraces inclusiveness, compassion, strength of purpose, personal discipline, and faith. And so in one word, we capture what has been shared by the great spiritual traditions throughout the world, no matter what any religion claims to say, or no matter how we extract certain parts of holy scriptures, the essence of all great religions is that the Spirit of God indwells all people, that there is equality among all people, and that by allowing our light to shine and by respecting that light in all others, we will understand what true respect and love for spirit means. The oneness of life means everyone worshiping, living their lives in their own unique way, seeking to love and be loved, seeking freedom, seeking creative expression, knowing their true identity and honoring it in all others. This is Satyagraha, the relentless strength that it takes to bring these teachings out in the world. Now, there are four basic elements of Satyagraha. What Gandhi was attempting to teach us was that whenever we went out in the world to protest injustice, it would have to be done in a consciousness of love. It would have to be done with our entire heart. We would have to be willing to die for it. It has to be that strong, that soul force that propels us to say no to poverty and to racism and to injustice. And so those who would practice Satyagraha must be grounded in love and have the utmost respect for the law, so that when they chose not to cooperate with specific legislation, others could acknowledge the importance of their concern. Gandhi, of course, looked at hundreds and thousands of his Indian people. He saw that they were enslaved by rule from another country. He saw that they were dishonored. He saw that there was tremendous poverty. He saw that there was a caste system in India with certain people called untouchables. That was a tradition that had gone on for many years, but for Gandhi, that was not something he wanted to tolerate. And so whenever he walked, whenever he toured the country, he would stop not only and embrace the untouchables, but would stay with them, would eat the food, would drink the water, would fly in the face of all of the tradition of the day. Why? Because he loved equality more than he loved superstition or the ill will of others. He loved all people. He said, I'm not untouchable by birth, but I am untouchable in spirit. And so to be able to connect with all people, to leave them with a sense of dignity that was much greater than what they had before he came. This is a sign of a Satyagrahi who practices Satyagraha. Now, again, he said that the true Satyagrahi is dignified, is grounded in love, does not approach the other side as though they were the enemy, but approaches the other side, and in this case the British rule, with respect and clarity of purpose. Gandhi would write letters to the officials in England telling them that they refused to bow down to laws that affected their human dignity. He was very polite in those laws. He wished the officials in England well. He never complained. He never called them names. He never pulled his people away from them. He was focused on the truth of freedom and human dignity. He had no time or interest or inclination to demonize them. This is why the teaching is more important today than ever. When he said nonviolence, it wasn't just about how to approach people to change legislation. It was about how to live one's life from a consciousness of love and respect. Now, before I move on, I just want to make sure that we don't walk away thinking that Gandhi was flawless. Again, it's really, really important for us not to put certain people up in high places where we can't reach. No, Gandhi was a real human being with a lot of flaws, self-admitted. He recognized that he couldn't be all things to all people and that he had to focus on what meant most to him. He knew that he was not a family man. He knew that he was not a great father or a great husband. That did not diminish the greatness that he was. It just made him a human being just like you and me, with great flaws and great virtues. And it didn't stop him from seeing the vision of greatness. It never stopped him. The act of nonviolent resistance was reserved for an unjust law that severely diminished the quality of life and human dignity. It was not to be used randomly. You pick and choose what really offends human dignity and you focus on that. He didn't want to be known as an agitator. He wanted to be known as a person of great dignity and moral fiber who stood up for what needed to be handled. So he knew that there were going to be protests, and he worked the art of the nonviolent protest. And so he ruled out the destruction of property, foul language, physically trying to block people, or any type of bullying or intimidation. Remember, the nonviolence, the life of nonviolence is not in attempting to ruin or demean someone else. It's about standing up for what we believe to be true. And so it was very, very important to train people in nonviolent protests, to get the anger out, to remember the purpose, to be high-minded, to be prayed up, to be very clear about what our purpose was. It was definitely a protest because he did not believe that nonviolence was non-action. No, he did not believe that. And he did not believe that nonviolence was equated with weakness or refusal to stand up. Nonviolence is something worth dying for. As Gandhi said, there are several things that I would die for, but none that I would kill for. Again, was Gandhi anti-war? Not particularly. Not exclusively. He knew that because of human evolution, there were certain times and under certain circumstances where that couldn't be avoided, but he would do everything in his power to avoid it, everything. For Gandhi, civil disobedience focused on the civil way it was to be conducted. Gandhi believed that by demonstrating love and a willingness to take on legal penalties, they would eventually move the authorities to experience a change of heart and become willing to negotiate. That was really what Gandhi had in mind. He was an idealist by nature, as we are in Unity and New Thought. We see the ideal, we see the highest that we could be. He wanted to connect with those that would be seen as his enemies. He wanted to connect with them. He didn't want to be abused by them, nor was he interested in inflicting any abuse. He wanted to make a connection because they also had the Spirit of God in him. And so in this way, we need to be really, really clear now and in the days to come what the dignity of a nonviolent protest can be. How we can stand for love, how we can reach out and take the hand of someone who would want to take our life and say, I behold the Spirit of God in you. Namaste. I behold the Spirit of God in you. There is a prayer for peace that I would like us to chant now. Dr. Pamela will lead us in this prayer. We will have accompaniment by our wonderful Brett Mitchell and my wonderful son Matthew J. Evans. And every time we speak these words in an ancient language, we are not only opening ourselves up, but asking the world to join us in prayers for nonviolence, the philosophy of nonviolence, which is more than a behavior, it's a way of life.
Loka samantha sukhino bhavantu is a popular mantra for peace in Sanskrit. Not for one's own self or family, but for the whole universe itself. It encourages us to identify with all creation and all life. Let us sing this chant together.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. 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 What do Gandhi's words what do Gandhi's words mean for us today? Today we are faced with opposition such as many of us have not faced before. We're polarized. There are people who believe that our country will be blessed by their points of view. On the other side of the coin, there are others who believe that the country will be blessed by this point of view. There is tremendous animosity toward one another. There is tremendous fear among one another. And for many of us in New Thought, a fear of taking action in a political arena that we think is antithetical to any positive living that we have ever preached or talked about. Gandhi took his spiritual teachings and his political wisdom. He brought them together in such a way that is unforgettable, powerful, amazingly filled with love, the lone voice of nonviolence in a world struggling to survive around him. He didn't do it in vain. His words, his legacy has to have meaning for us. Those of us in New Thought who believe that we can sit in prayer and that will be enough are being challenged right now. And to all my colleagues out there who are watching on live stream, I bless you, I commiserate with you, and I understand how difficult it must be to step away from an enclosed existence where we don't want to have anything to do with anything negative or that smacks of violence. To you, I would say, I honor, support you, and bless you, but we cannot hide any longer. Our prayer has to be attached to action. Our prayers have to have meaning in the world. Someone, and that would be us, needs to go out in the world and say, this is what love and protest looks like at the same time. This is not about disrespect. It's about reaching out and finding ways to come together. Obviously, we're not going to come together in all ways because there is that individuality. But clearly, because of this God-made individuality, this ability for us to recognize ourselves as God seeing itself from every level of its being, because of the need for diversity within unity, otherwise unity would be uniformity, there is a need to coexist with those with whom we disagree. What we haven't done is to find a way. And by backing away, by putting a hand up and saying, this is not where I go, I'm not going to go down there into the evils of the political world. Well, Gandhi said, you don't have to. I didn't. You don't have to. The philosophy of nonviolence is a way of life that shows up in every encounter, every situation, every circumstance. And for those of us who are trying to find a way to have a voice in the world, and when I say us, I don't mean as opposed to them, but obviously there is an element of commonality that we have in New Thought, where we would love to see the world in perfect harmony, but don't really know how to put ourselves out there in a way that's not going to annihilate us. Gandhi had that way. Dr. King had that way. Dr. King took his heart from Gandhi and shared his 6 principles of nonviolence. nonviolence as a way of life, walking out into the world, not to sink down into the dishonesty of politics, but to bring politics up to a level of respect and honesty and truth. Yes, there's a way. And now, more than ever, Gandhi's philosophy means something to us. He's a role model, not a flawless God that we hold up as a deity over our own lives. No, he never wanted that. Actually, none of the great way showers ever have wanted that. But to listen to his words, to listen to his words, to internalize those words, to take anything we see as quote-unquote less than spiritual and spiritualize it with our attitude, our willingness to go out there in love. Is this going to be easy? All we have to do is get into a good mood, dress up, walk out in the street with a sign and expect people to validate us? That's not what this is about. It's never been what this is about. Now, you'll have to excuse me for feeling as though I really understand, because I come from a long line of activists, union organizers. My father participated in the Russian Revolution in 1917 when he was a boy. They had worked at it diligently. Why had they worked at it? Because they were starving, because there was no dignity, because there was leadership that wasn't paying attention to them. They decided, without internet, without phones, without any way of connecting with each other, to meet every night. He remembers meetings every night for 10 years because they were hungry and because nobody was listening. They decided to be their own voice. Was their method one that we would recommend? Not necessarily. They did what they had to do. They had a revolution. My grandfather on my mother's side was a union organizer. Why? Because as an immigrant, they all worked in sweatshops. They worked hard, they worked long, and they worked because they needed to bring their relatives over from a land that was oppressed. But my grandfather did not want anyone else to suffer from endless hours and low wages. And so he took his sign out and he picketed, and he got hit in the head with rocks, and he used to show me the scars, and I used to say, "Oh, Grandpa, I'm so sorry. Oh, that one was really close to your eye," or "Oh, that must have hurt so much." He said, "These are my battle scars, and I wear them proudly." Because it was all about justice. It was all about letting their voices be heard and asking no more than what they really deserved. And so I feel very passionate about this work. I know that it can be done. I know that it needs to be done by us. I know that while, again, political activism is not for everybody, it certainly is something that we can do from our own homes. We can write our congresspeople, we can call, we can get petitions, we can do a lot of things. But you see, in New Thought we believe in the law of attraction. What we put out comes back to us. And if we don't put out how passionate we are and how willing we are to step out of our comfort zone and how powerful it is to show the world, to quote Marianne Williamson, a politics of love, if we're not willing to do that, then really there shouldn't be anything to complain about when we hate them for what they're doing to us. We're not victims. We're not victims. We're not 100% right either, are we? Nobody's 100% right. Are there ways when we have the intention of living a life of nonviolence, are there ways we haven't thought of yet that can support us? Oh, yeah, plenty of ways. How will we find out what they are? By sitting at home hoping that someone else will come up with them? Or by sitting and being angry and taking all of that divine energy and focusing it on what's wrong and how helpless we feel? That's not what we teach. The law of attraction says that what we are and what we do comes back to us. And when our vision, when our mission is one of complete wholeness and respect for all life, then we will see that no matter how many mistakes we make along the way. We don't want to hurt anybody. We just want equal rights. We don't want to defeat anyone. We just want equal rights. We don't want to lord our power over everyone. We've tried that. All you have to do is read any scripture or history book. You'll see how that doesn't work. But if you Google nonviolent protests, you will also see that that has been one of the most successful ways to achieve the desired goals. Nonviolence is not non-action. Nonviolence is a way of life that puts love and respect over everything else. And so, Pamela, Dr. Pamela, please lead us in the mantra, affirming the divine I am.
That is Soham. The mantra of self-realization. We are pure spirit, divine beings of light. Because there are no words for this pure essence of awareness, we translate this mantra to I am. Let us recite Soham. 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 Soham.
I would like to ask those of you who are watching on live stream, please like Unity of San Luis Obispo, please like and share this message with your group of friends and supporters. We are very interested in hearing from you because we love to know who around the world is one with us in spirit. Thank you for your continued support. Thank you all here for the beauty and the light that you share to create Unity of San Luis Obispo and all of its power and love. And so, it is this week, the beginning of the Jewish New Year, and then next week, Yom Kippur. We will be having a service celebrating those holy days, and our graphic says, may this new year be filled with health and happiness, sweet moments for you and your family. Lishana Tova. Happy New Year.